or the COVID-19 information line at 505-516-0938 or 888-949-5387. San Juan Regional Medical Center, caring for the Four Corners since 1910. KSJE is supported by San Juan Regional Medical Center, here to meet your urgent and emergent medical needs, whether they are COVID-19 related or not. Medical emergencies happen when you least expect them, whether it's a stroke, heart attack, illness, or injury. San Juan Regional Medical Center's caregivers are here to provide care to you and your loved ones. Find out more online at sanjuanregional.com. "11 minutes past 8 o'clock. It is Thursday morning, October the 8th. Good morning, everybody. I'm Scott Michlin, and thank you for tuning in to KSJE 90.9 FM over the air in Farmington and San Juan County, 103.3 FM over the air in Durango, Colorado, and, of course, streaming everywhere from our website, KSJE.com. Welcome also to our viewers who are watching this visual radio program, streaming live this morning to the KSJE Facebook page, our YouTube channel, and the KSJE Twitter account. We're glad that you are with us all this morning. Thank you for tuning in. Coming up this morning, in the next few moments, we're going to be talking economic development. My guest, Arvin Trujillo, is standing by to speak with me about his latest efforts on economic development. We'll get an update on this railroad project that we have been talking about, and much, much more. That is coming up this morning in the next few moments right here on KSJE. Then, of course, we will talk at 9 a.m. Megan Cullop will be joining me here in Studio A. It is our community information program about COVID-19. You can watch it streaming live at 9 to our YouTube channel and Facebook page. It's a rebroadcast this afternoon, of course, at 5:06 over KSJE Radio and on our website, KSJE.com. This morning, we're going to be talking with a parent of some school-age children about some of the challenges of teaching from home, virtual learning, and his frustrations about trying to get kids back into the classroom. Also, we'll be talking with our two local doctors, Dr. Aaron Philpott and Dr. Brad Greenberg from San Juan Regional Medical Center, to get an update from them on some of the treatments that we have been hearing about in the news recently. That and more coming up this morning. Again, you can watch us live on YouTube and Facebook at 9. A rebroadcast for our radio audiences at 5:06 p.m. on KSJE Radio, KSJE.com. And don't forget our partner radio station, KNMI, airs this program on their station at noon today. So you can watch it and listen to it there as well. Don't forget, of course, in addition to that, Mick Hess will be droving with the arts today. Today on the program, Mick is featuring music from the great Beethoven at 9:06 on the radio here on KSJE. In addition to Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, we also invite you to connect with us on Instagram as well. And here's the weather forecast. More mild temperatures for the next couple of days, but there is a change in the forecast. But for today, mostly sunny skies, 82 for a high this afternoon in Farmington, 43 and clear overnight. It'll be mostly sunny tomorrow with a high of 80 on Friday and 78 degrees on Saturday with sunshine. But Sunday, take a look. There's a chance of rain showers in the forecast and some cooler temperatures. 74 with a chance of showers on Sunday. Sunshine and only 70 for high on Monday. Mid-70s for the rest of the week pretty much. Maybe 69 and mostly sunny skies by next Friday, but certainly some more seasonable weather. And take a look at those overnight lows, mostly in the 40s, but a couple mid-30s there, like Monday night and Friday night in the forecast coming up. Well, let me turn to my guest, who is patiently waiting for me to introduce him this morning so we can talk about economic development. Arvin Trujillo is joining me via Zoom this morning from his offices here in Farmington. Arvin, good morning. Good to see you.
Good morning, Scott. Good to be with you.
Thank you for joining us. And I wanted to point out, the last time we spoke, I think the news had just broken about this major grant, I think it is major, from the federal government to help with this much-discussed railroad project. And so if you wouldn't mind taking just a few minutes to explain kind of what that means and all the different moving parts, the people that are involved to make this happen.
Sure thing, Scott. And we're really excited about this. What you're referring to is the U.S. Department of Transportation's bill grant. That's basically a general infrastructure type grant. They have two sections to that grant. There's a planning section and there's an actual what they call a capital project or an actual design and construction portion to that grant. We applied with San Juan County as the lead. We, along with the Navajo Nation, applied for a grant through that program to help us with the planning phase of getting a rail here in San Juan County. We applied for $2 million, and we were successful in getting that grant. And from word that we received back from the U.S. Department of Transportation, we're the only project in New Mexico that received this. Now, there were about 700 applicants for money through this grant process. 10% of those applicants were considered, and we happened to be successful in getting an award. So we were really excited about that. Right now, with the notice of the award, the U.S. Department of Transportation is now in communications with San Juan County. The next phase of this is putting together a funding agreement so that we actually know how we are going to be able to spend the money, the kind of reporting that we're going to have to provide to the federal government concerning this grant, and again, really building the foundations now so that we're on the radar of the U.S. Department of Transportation. And this effort will help us as well as them determine how do we begin to move forward. One of the things that we were able to do this week was we had a telephone conference with the U.S. Department of Transportation. On that conference call, we had Mr. Mike Stark, who's the county manager for San Juan County. We had the Navajo Nation Vice President, Myron Lizer, on the call, along with myself. And again, we were able to get some clarification on a number of things. And the thing that really jumped out to me was, one, they were looking at this whole effort as a foundational piece, getting a lot of information and really bringing that information together in a report. And from that report, being able to determine what should be the next steps in moving this towards a capital project, and then from there also looking within their own resources too to see are there other funding opportunities that we might be able to tap into to help us move this full project forward. And again, having the MOU in place and having the Navajo Nation Vice President involved in the discussions was very fruitful, because not only is he listening to what's happening there, but they are a partner in our efforts to bring rail here. So again, that could help us in determining how the nation can become more involved in looking at bringing rail here to San Juan County. So we're all really excited about where we are right now. We're starting to roll our sleeves up and getting ready to do some work here.
Very exciting and true. And $2 million, I mean, to us, it sounds like a lot of money, and it is a lot of money. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, Arvin Trujillo, that I know folks, old-timers who've been around for a long time, even longer than me, would say, boy, they've been talking about rail to San Juan County since the 1960s when they took the rail out. But this, I think, is the furthest any of these discussions have ever gotten into the planning, the engineering type phase. Am I right about that?
Yeah, in talking with a number of different people, they are excited because that perception is true in a lot of people's minds. And the big piece to all of this, Scott, is the fact that we've got a memorandum of understanding with the Navajo Nation, and they're on board all the way in terms of really helping with the planning and the design aspects, and looking at what they need to contribute to in order to bring rail to this area. Because again, the vice president was very clear that they are losing some major industries looking into the future. One recently that is affecting Navajo workers and employees is the pending closure of the oil refinery up in McKinley County.
Right. So
he's looking at ways on how they can bring the necessary infrastructure here into the region so that we're able to promote new industrial development for the nation as well as here in the county. and how do we begin to really make an impact in the next few years, understanding that a lot of these things people have been talking about, we're just trying to figure out how do we make this happen. And so it's been really good to hear the Vice President talk about this. He's excited about it. And I think that will help generate the necessary support as well as enthusiasm within the Navajo Nation as we proceed forward with this whole effort.
Right. Well, and that's exciting. And I definitely think, again, it also shows, I think, the support of the the Federal Transportation Department, who certainly aren't handing out $2 million every other day. And they feel that maybe this project has merit and is worth pursuing at least this next step to the tune of $2 million. And so this money, Arvin Trujillo, would go towards some of the engineering work, I guess, maybe actually trying to identify a route and then figure out how much it would cost then to build the line through that geography, I guess.
Well, what we're really looking at and the things that we've got to really tackle is there's been some initial studies that have been done looking at different route locations. What we're wanting to do is go back and take a look at all of that to see what really makes sense, and from not only a construction basis, but also from a cost basis. And then from there, we've got a lot of different areas that have already been cleared in terms of right-of-ways and wildlife and a lot of the environmental clearances that are required. And so we want to look at all those areas and really, with the assistance of the nation, determine where is the route going to actually be and what should we really be working towards, one. Two, where does the transloading area need to be located? Meaning, where should the rail end and where would they actually be loading and unloading material from a rail system? And then where do we actually want to locate that? And then once those pieces are in place, having the nation involved will help us with all those clearances, because again, most if not, well, really most of the route, there's going to be portions on the very southern portion as we get closer to the I-40 corridor where we do have a lot of lands, but all the area in between there and San Juan County is all on the Navajo Nation. So having them on board will really help in looking at the environmental clearances, in looking at the actual route, working with the communities as we go through this whole process, and really seeing how we could also initiate economic development opportunities along the reservation. There are a number of chapters along the way.
Right.
And it's been my experience that all these chapters are looking at how they can promote economic development within their particular areas. And so this would prove an opportunity for them to look at rail and see how could they utilize this infrastructure to help them with their efforts, with their communities, and to bring jobs to their particular area and to their particular chapters. So again, having the nation on board is just really exciting. I think it's a shot in the arm that we really needed to get in place. We've got it going right now. And again, just having the Navajo Nation Vice President talking with all of us is a real benefit at this point in time. And we're really excited about all of this happening right now.
Most certainly. Well, and you certainly have to have the Navajo Nation as even a partner or player in all these conversations. It certainly makes a lot of sense, and great that they are kind of at the table with everybody else to maybe make this happen. But again, congratulations to all the parties involved. This $2 million grant is nothing to sneeze at, and I think we'll hopefully see some results of this shortly and get an update from you down the road, of course. Talking about some other things, Arvin Trujillo, I wanted to ask you a bit. I know today you kind of wanted to revisit a little bit about your background, and of course, I'm trying to remember now how long you've been at the helm of Four Corners Economic Development. Has it been 3 years or longer?
Well, really, it's been about a year and a half right now.
Is that all it's
I
been?
joined the organization back April of last year.
This year feels like 5, so I guess that's my excuse.
True.
I'm sorry.
That is true. But, it's been good being here in this position. I just wanted to share with folks again. I know there may be some new listeners out there, but I'm from this area. I grew up in this area. I went to school at Kirtland Central. I went through the full Kirtland system from kindergarten all the way through high school. I'm a Navajo. My mother is from Cudahy, which is just west of Shiprock. That's her community. My dad is from Nageezi. And so again, we came, well, my mom and I came back in 1961. My dad came back a little bit earlier. Before that, and they met in Intermountain Boarding School. They were both working there back in the 50s. So I was out in Utah growing up in my early stages of my life. And when I was about 6 years old, we moved back out here. And so, I've been a part of the community since that time, going to high school at Kirtland. After I finished there, I went on to Oral Roberts and did my bachelor work there in biochemistry. And then later on, I went on to Penn State and did my graduate work in mineral processing and mining. And so taking that experience, really my career has gone in a number of different directions. There's been times I've scratched my head kind of puzzling, what am I doing in this position or why am I here? But all in all, it's really helped me with the position that I have now. As I indicated, I was initially in the mining area. I worked up in Wyoming for about 4 years for mobile coal producing, being an engineer up there. Then I moved back here to the Four Corners area, and I worked for BHP and worked at all the 3 mining operations here in the region. And then basically doing a lot of the engineering work. I was a part of San Juan mine when they first started developing the portal for the underground mine. Right. I was at Navajo when we were just opening up Area 3 there. And I was at La Plata mine working that area for a number of years also. And so had a lot of experience and met a lot of good people working in the mining industry. But in 1999, I got called by then President-elect Kelsey Begay to come and join his administration. And so after a lot of thought and a lot of discussions, I ended up going to the Navajo Nation. And there he had me lead his Division of Natural Resources. I was just planning on being there for a short time. He did not win re-election, so I thought 4 years was going to be it, and I'm back out and doing some other things. But Joe Shirley Jr. then won the election. He then asked me to stay on as the head of the Division of Natural Resources. So I was there for about 11 and a half years. And again, really looking at the philosophy that Four Corners Economic Development is taking now, looking at relationship building and relationship development, looking at how do we bring the different stakeholders together here in the region. I saw real benefits of doing that type or following that type of philosophy as I worked with the nation. I was in partnership within the Attorney General of the Navajo Nation, Louis Danetsosi. We were able to finally get the Navajo-Hopi land dispute resolved. I took care of the national or the natural resources aspects of the agreement. He took care of the legal aspects of the agreement. We were able to bring that together and get that completed. I was also a part of the team that got 550 and 491 expanded from 2-lane highways to 4-lane highways. Again, that was through partnerships with the state of New Mexico, working hard with them in order to meet those project expectations and get that done. And again, partnering up with the Navajo Nation, the state of New Mexico, the Apache Nation, and the Utes, we were able to get water rights resolved between the Navajo Nation and the state of New Mexico. And as a result of that, we were able then to get the Navajo Gallup water supply project approved. And now that's being built as we speak now. And so, again, that partnership was something that I really worked on. I continued that. After the nation, I went and worked for APS. I worked at Four Corners Power Plant, working there as the head of their government relations group.
Right. And Arvin,
we were able to get the lease approved and done, working with the Navajo Nation, extending the life of that power plant from 2015 up to 2031.
Right,
so
right.
Again, that's the kind of philosophy, and that's kind of a bit of my background as to how I got into this position.
There you go. Well, and I wanted to ask you about a couple of the things that you mentioned. One of which you just mentioned was the Navajo Gallup water supply line, which is being constructed right now, as you mentioned. And of course, during this whole pandemic this year, we've been hearing about how conditions are on some very remote areas of the Navajo reservation where folks don't have running water and can't wash their hands, and that has been named as one of the main contributors to the very fast spread of this early on across the Navajo Nation, which has now been calmed down. We're all thankful for. But this project is supposed to then provide some of this things that we take for granted, right? The utility of having water lines to your house. And I don't know how many chapters are along the route, but there are several between Shiprock and Tohatchee, I would say, that are going to benefit from this project, and more maybe a little off the route too. But this is a major infrastructure investment, correct?
That's correct. And in fact, Scott, there's three aspects to this whole project. The one that everybody's focused on right now is the connection between Gallup and the San Juan River.
Right.
But we've also got another lateral that comes from Navajo Dam. It's called the Cutter Lateral. We've got that going, and that moves on up to the Eastern Agency. It follows pretty much somewhat parallel to the 550 going towards Albuquerque. But that portion has been completed, and there are areas right now where those chapters in Eastern Agency have access to running water. The next phase to that is then to tap into that line and to distribute that water to households. And again, IHS and NTUA are working on that aspect right now. That's one phase. Another phase is through that agreement, we were able to work with the city of Gallup. And there were areas that were south of Gallup, chapters that are south of Gallup. We worked with Gallup. They revitalized their whole water delivery system there within the city, so that water could now be delivered south of them to chapters there that are south of the city. And so that has been developed, and that's in place right now. And so the third phase right now is to build the pipeline on down to San Juan River, and then that could be utilized as a source of water for all three phases. And that water can then go to Gallup, and then the chapters south of Gallup. It can then go east to chapters east of Gallup, and then connect with the lateral that's in Eastern Agency, and that would then also bring water up from Navajo Dam to those areas. So again, we're looking at that whole area of Eastern Agency, all of it within the state of New Mexico, where these chapters will eventually be able to have access to water. And again, this is looking at the main trunk line at this point.
Right.
But eventually we're looking at getting distribution lines to those particular communities and eventually to homes.
And these are areas, Arvin, Trujillo, here in the Four Corners, that traditionally do not have a reliable water supply year in and year out. Isn't that correct? I mean,
that's correct.
Families have had to truck water in for miles and miles.
Not only did they truck them in, but a lot of people go to windmills and gather water there, or they'll go to different watering sites at the border towns or at different chapters. So again, yes, they go and they haul water, and the goal of this whole effort is to bring water into those areas so that people can have access to running water at their homes.
Right. And another thing I want to ask you about, Arvin, while we had just a couple of minutes remaining this morning, is you mentioned your work, of course, in the mining industry and of course in the power plant industry, and we know that those industries are being challenged here in the region. But I think that experience gives you some insights into the quality of jobs that we need in the area. Not to say that jobs in the service industry are bad, but the wages that they pay aren't always comparable with what you would make, say, in the mining industry or the energy industry. And so isn't it important, if we're going to have a vital and vibrant economic economy here in San Juan County, that we need all different types of jobs? We can have a lot of service jobs, but we also need some high-paying jobs as well for our population?
Yes, and again, the way I kind of split that up, Scott, is you have what we call economic-based jobs and you have service jobs.
Right.
And the mines and the power plants bring economic-based jobs, meaning they work in an industry that brings money in. And they're high-paying jobs, they're highly skilled jobs. And so with having those jobs in the area, then begin to feed other areas such as retail, the service-related jobs. It also helps indirectly on generating manufacturing. You know, we have a number of small manufacturing jobs. We have janitorial services, things that go and service the mines, they service the power plant, and they are an offshoot from having those direct jobs developed from the industry. And so again, looking at the whole strategy that we're wanting to play out, is there are some challenges right now with the power plants as well as their associated mines. How do we begin to build the necessary infrastructure and get that in place so that we can bring other industries in? We've got a tremendous agricultural opportunity with NAPI. We've got a lot of small farms along the river. Are there ways that once we get rail in this area, we can start moving produce out of this area? We've got Raytheon. We've got PESCO, looking at small manufacturing areas and missile defense work. That would really benefit from having this and really bringing economic-based jobs. And then there are other industries also that would look at this area, I believe, if we had the necessary infrastructure in place. And one thing that I've taken note is looking at the municipal footprint that this area has. Farmington is the retail center of a large footprint here in Four Corners area. And that's known kind of as the MSA,
right,
in technical terms. But we are basically one of the only MSAs out there in the U.S. that does not have rail next to it. And yet we've been able to grow from that. And I think a lot of that is because of the power industry that we have currently. But that's transitioning. So we've got to begin to work on how we can change that, how we can bring new industry in. And so again, my other message with Foresight has been the fact that it's just not us that needs to be working on this. All of us need to be working on this together, even the small industries. We're looking at business retention and expansion interviews going out. We've contacted a number of businesses who are going to take part in these interviews that we'll be holding. And again, this is for our benefit to gather information to see how can we best help our small businesses? How do we help you retain your employment levels? How do we help you expand? How can we do that in a collective manner here in San Juan County? And then as a result of that, how does that help us attract new industries into the area, because we have the service-related aspects to help service those industries that would come in.
Right.
And so again, there's that type of strategy that we're working on right now to bring economic development here to San Juan County.
Well, it's all important, and you got a lot of balls in the air, Arvin Trujillo, but keep juggling. And I appreciate
I'll keep doing that, just so they're not like I see on TV sometimes where guys are juggling chainsaws and things like that.
We don't need that. That's for sure. But I imagine some days it might feel like that. But we appreciate your time this morning, as always, to update us on the efforts that you are making. Again, the railroad project personally is very exciting to me. I think it's going to could be a game changer for the region, not just the Navajo Nation or San Juan County, but I know even Southwest Colorado is paying attention to what's going on down here. So thank you very much for the update, and we'll talk to you again next month.
Okay, Scott, and again, appreciate the time, and you take care.
All right, you two stay well. That is Arvin Trujillo. He is the CEO, of course, of Four Corners Economic Development. My guest this morning here on KSJE. More coming up in just a moment. The time right now is 8:40 a.m. San Juan County, we need you. This is Scott Michlin. As a longtime resident and advocate for our community, it's so important to fill out the 2020 census. So all of us here in San Juan County can be counted, because we do count. Take 10 minutes and fill it out today, and tell your neighbor too, so we can get our fair share of funding for our health, our education, and things as simple as our roads and bridges. As the deadline is nearing, make sure you get counted and benefit our wonderful San Juan County. Complete the census when you receive your invitation, or visit 2020census.gov.